All right, welcome back to another episode of the Evolved Marketing Podcast. My name is Brian Brewer, along with my co-host, as always, Andrew Jermachev. And today we do have a special guest. Today's special guest I've known probably, going on 3 years now. We first kind of came across each other when we were promoting the same affiliate offer, talked a little bit, but have since, I don't want to say we've gone our separate ways because we've been in communication and we know each other and we talk to each other and we've seen each other at live events. But we've each gone on to do different things. So I think that's what we're going to talk about today. The one thing that's really cool about this guest that we have on is while we have different styles, different strategies, different ways of communicating in our marketing, I can tell that our brains work in a very similar way, because when we were sitting at Funnel Hacking Live, there was a speaker who came on and he started talking to me or talking to us about a certain new opportunity. And Dom was texting me, even though we weren't sitting together, like, how fast is your brain running right now? So I kind of just blew the surprise. So let's just get right to it. Welcome to today's guest, Dom Bavaro. Welcome to the show today.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me. And way to blow the hook, way to blow the surprise.
I know. I just got so excited about that moment. It was so funny because I think I don't even know where you were sitting in the room, and there's 5,000 people in there. But when Perry Belcher came on and he was talking about writing newsletters and stuff like that, it was like, I'm taking notes as fast as I possibly can. And then all of a sudden, Dom, you texted me and said, how fast are you taking notes right now? Or like, how fast are the wheels spinning right now? Because we just got excited about the same things. And that's what it really can affirm the fact that I think our brains work very similar ways, and we appreciate the same aspects of this business. Do you think that's accurate?
Absolutely, man. I mean, it's funny. We, like I said, we started kind of came across each other. It was like mid 2020. We were promoting the same affiliate program. And obviously since then we started promoting different avenues. Like that was absolutely, we didn't go different ways, but we're both marketers and we both respect and understand what the other one's doing. So I've always told people it's been like almost like WWF, like The Rock and Stone Cold hate each other in the ring, but I'm sure they're good friends out of the ring when when they go home at the end of the night.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I know what he's doing.
It's just to make a show, right? To make a
100%. Marketing's all about getting attention.
Hey,
and what gets attention more than a show?
You do a great job getting attention. That's for sure. Negative and positive.
Yeah.
Really
so
cool.
What happened? Yeah. So before 2020, right? What were you doing before that?
So before, how far back do you want to go? You want to go like all the way back, or because I was actually doing a lot. I would guess what you would call, I don't want to say a serial entrepreneur, because I've only had, I had a bunch of failed businesses, but one that only actually took off where I could actually eat from before getting into this. But I got my start way back probably about 10 years ago in the car business. Before that, I wanted to be financial advisor, Wall Street guy, because that's growing up in the New York Metro. It's kind of like your dream job, right? I want to work on Wall Street and make a bunch of money, right? Well, I got there, I passed all my licensing exams, and I was like, this sucks. So I blew out of there really, really quick. And then this was 2011, so it was height of the recession, height of financial crisis. So nobody was hiring anything but sales. And I was like, part of the reason why I got out of Wall Street was I didn't want to sell. And I was like, I kind of have to sell something. But I also wanted to live at the beach. So I got an apartment down the shore and I started selling cars. And that was I got excited, exposed to the sales world. And through that, I sold cars for about 6 years before moving back into the finance office at the car dealership. And then eventually into the internet department, the lead gen BDC. So I had gotten exposed to autoresponders and emails and lead generation and tagging people. Cause I was in charge of basically handling 3,000 leads a month on my own by myself. And someone clicks on the website, it's my job to get them in here to go come buy a car. So that was kind of my follow-up experience. And I've kind of brought that skill with me to the digital world with email experiences and follow-ups and stuff. And I had a really, really high conversion percentage back end from the experience from the car business. But I actually left the car business in 2017 to do an app-based car rental business. I was actually renting cars to Uber and Lyft drivers through an app, similar to Turo, but wasn't Turo. And it was cool at first because that was my first taste of entrepreneurship. But dude, it's a lot of stress. It's a lot of capital expense. And you've got 15 to 20 cars rolling around the city of Philadelphia, 24 hours a day, doing 1,000 miles a week. The accidents, the hits, I got one car was used in an armed robbery. They found drugs in another car. 3 of them got impounded. It was always just something was happening. It was just stress all the time. And I thought that I would have a slow day. I'm like, all the cars are out rented. because this was also pitched as passive income, by the way. They were like, oh yeah, when your cars are out, it's passive. You're earning it. I'm like, okay, cool. This is great. And then no, it was just stress.
You don't know what they're doing with your cars, you know?
No. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm like, my rental cars are probably, and they're Uber and Lyft. So I'm like, they're probably not going to be gentle. But that business actually ended up failing. My insurance premiums priced me out of profit. And then I just had too many accidents and just shenanigans. So I actually went, I didn't go bankrupt, but the business went under like December of 2019, January 2020. So I'm sitting there and I was like, what do I do for my next move? And then all of a sudden COVID hits and it's like, oh, well, I guess I go on the internet like everybody else.
That's the only place you're allowed to go at that point, right?
Pretty much. So I'm sitting here. I was like, oh, this sucks. I got to do something my next move. But I jumped immediately into internet marketing, affiliate marketing, content creation, because I had been trying to make it work with a blog for about 3 years prior. Kind of on the side. I always dabbled with blogging. I was afraid to get on camera, afraid to do YouTube. I was going to do SEO because I saw a YouTube ad, guru, big house, nice car. Hey, you can do it promoting your favorite brands. And it was hard. And I was trying to do paid ads, but without having to take a course, because I bought a high ticket course. I didn't get what I thought out of it. So I was like, I'm never going to buy a course. All courses are scams. And I set myself back 3 years. Note to self, not all courses are bad. But basically 2020 happens. It's TikTok. Everybody's on the internet. And I was like, you know what? I have nothing coming out from my blog. I understand how it works. I'm getting a little bit of traction, but it's not enough to pay the bills. My wife's 9 to 5 isn't covering all the bills. And I'm like, TikTok seems interesting. It seems new and exciting. Let's hop on TikTok and we'll just teach everybody everything I've known about marketing and sales for the past decade. And that's kind of how we came across each other, and people started liking to hear what I had to say. And I was like, video's not that bad. You do it a couple hundred times, you get better at it. And then that's kind of how we came up here and became the marketer I am now.
Yeah, that's awesome. You start to understand why we think about things similar ways when you start to realize that our backgrounds are very similar as well. You know, I did the blogging thing for probably 4 years, and same sort of situation. You know, I'd come across the gurus who told you could, you know, make $100,000 a month passively just ranking, you know, blogs and SEO and stuff like that. And I did. I ended up getting good at SEO and learned how to rank pages, not blogs, but individual pages. And I had some ranking number one for very, you know, high volume keywords, and it was great. But, you know, probably the same story that happened to you. I could really never get over the hump. I mean, it was to the situation where it was like, you know, a couple $1,000s a month is great, but now I have 2 jobs for another 36,000 a year. It's like, this is just too much. And I was just in the same way. I was scared, just afraid to get on camera. But finally I did it. I look like a hostage, I always say, in my first video, but once you do it a couple hundred times, it's really not that bad. So what was it for you that made you decide, hey, I just have to rip the Band-Aid off and do the content? Was it just a curiosity? Was it the desperation of not being able to do anything else? Like, what pushed you over the hump, and what kept you going in the beginning when it was probably a little bit more difficult than it is now for you?
God, I hate to say it, but the need to make money. It's a huge motivator. Like when I always tell people that nobody who's comfortable tries to do internet marketing. I don't think anybody in the world who's happy with their situation. I like where I'm at, but I'm going to go try to be a content creator. Everybody starts in a position of discomfort. So for me, I was like, oh no, I don't, I'll figure it out. I've got runway. I've got time. I'll get blogging over the hump. I'll be able to do that. But then you're running out of runway, right? Cause my business would failed, and the wife's 9 to 5 gave us health insurance, but wasn't covering everything. And I'm like, I'm going to run out of runway soon. I got to try something different. So turned the camera around and I actually did my first TikTok in my car while I was driving with an external mic. And I was like sweating bullets, and I was like, I was done. I was like, what's going to happen? So but like I had to do it because again, I was running out of runway, and I was like, I got to do something. So that was kind of the motivator. And I hate telling people that that's what it was. So I don't want people thinking, oh, I have to be desperate to make money to start trying to make content. But that's what it was for me.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it was for me too, as well. I mean, I was kind of desperate at the same point. You know, my wife was sick. I had to stay home from work. I didn't have sick hours. I didn't have vacation hours anymore. And I was like, how am I going to pay for the bills now? You get me? So I started going online, and I found an opportunity, and I went for it. And pretty much that's how I started my whole career with this digital marketing space. So after you transfer basically some of the skills that you learned from the sales, selling cars and doing that, which program was it, like the one that you started with the digital marketing stuff?
So the actual first one I started really to promote was actually Spencer Meekum's Affiliate Secrets.
Yeah.
And that was I actually started promoting that using, it was PPC ads on Google to the Builderall keyword. And fun fact, that's actually how I met James Neville Taylor.
Okay.
Because I was doing really, really well with it. And when back in the day, when you signed up with Builderall, they told you like who your above referring affiliate was. And it was James. And I was like, oh, cool. He's the number one affiliate. And I'm going through the ads, and all of a sudden my ad costs just spike. And I was like, I'm not profitable anymore. Like, oh, what's going on? I couldn't get it back down. So I was like, oh, let me just message James, because the way that Builderall had it set up was we both made 30% on my sales. So I was like, oh, well, his incentive is aligned for me to do well. He's incentivized to help me. So I go on Facebook, I go DM, hey James, I'm your referred affiliate. I've been doing PPC on Google, and any tips to help? Day goes by, I get the response. He goes, oh, that was you who messed up my ads?
Oh.
I was bidding head to head with him on the same keyword.
Interesting. So for those who aren't familiar, you were basically bidding against each other, yet you were both earning. So you really priced both of you out of the market is kind of what happened.
100%. He paused because of uncertainty with COVID. That's when I started. So dude, I was getting 10 cents a click. Yeah. I was like, dude, I was getting 30 signups a day to Builderall. And all of a sudden I was like, why is it $5 a click? I can't make money at this.
Right.
And then he's like, well, I don't know why it was so expensive when I went back. So we were just bidding against each other.
That's pretty incredible. So, that is the cool thing though. You mentioned earlier that, I know you're not anti-course now and you've created digital courses, and I'm sure we'll get into that.
Yeah. I'm very pro course now.
Yeah, exactly. But you were probably at a point where, back in 2020, maybe you were still hesitant to invest in a course, especially because of, the beginning of COVID, uncertainty, all that stuff. And you're, like you said, you run out of runway. So you were probably messing around, trying things, and you got into this pay-per-click opportunity with Builderall where you're getting cool clicks. And that is the cool thing about trying new things and going outside of what is taught, is when you can find that high leverage opportunity. I mean, it's easy money until it's not. I mean, it really is. It's like once you discover something, it's easy money. For me, I mean, that's really how TikTok was in the early stages. I'm not going to say I discovered TikTok, but boy, when I got on TikTok and everybody was just deciding that they wanted to do it. And even before that, it was like, I'd post a video, I'd be like 60,000 views. And I'd post another video, it'd be 40,000 views. And I'd post another video and be 120,000 views. And it's like, this is amazing. It was
so easy back then.
Yeah, it was. So let's talk about the evolution of TikTok for you, right? Because you mentioned earlier, you love creating content now and people love to hear what you have to say. And that's absolutely true. So what does the evolution of TikTok look like for you from 2020 to now, late 2023?
Okay. So actually it starts late 2019 with TikTok. So I was in a Facebook group, and I don't know if you remember the group. It was at the time, it was not in the Legendary Marketer group, because that's what I started promoting on TikTok at first. Right. And the reason why I promoted Legendary Marketer on TikTok was because, again, I was running out of runway. I had run out of, with James Neville Taylor, like he basically showed me how to do it, but then all of a sudden he flexed his muscles and priced me out. Like he's like, I am not going to give up this keyword. So it's like, all right, I got to try something else. I can't compete with this guy. So I was in a Facebook group and someone's like, oh, I'm killing it on TikTok. I'm promoting Legendary with TikTok. And I think it was either Matt, Jake, or Jonathan. It was one of those three, because they were the only people at the time promoting it. And I was like, okay. And it was deep in a comment thread. It was like 4 levels deep in a comment thread of like what you're having success with. I think it was even in the ClickFunnels group. Forget where it was.
Right.
I said, okay, let me see what's TikTok. Because we used to like make fun of TikTok as it was the kids dancing app. Right. And I'm like, well, I'm going to try something. And I go on and I start scrolling. I download it and I start scrolling TikTok. And I was like, every single person on there, like every video had tens of thousands of likes. And I'm coming from the Facebook organic world, the YouTube world, where everything has like 37 likes. So I'm like, man, there might be some traffic here. Right. But I got scared. And I literally from December of 2019, I didn't post my first video until March 8th of 2020. So I was like, there was 3 months where I was just scared. I could not hit this post button. But then I hit the first one, and I went through the challenge. I ended up investing in the blueprints in the first time. That's an interesting story in itself. The whole mental gymnastics I went, and that's when I went from anti-course to pro course. We can talk about that in a second. But basically, I went through that. I went through their decade in a day, and that was kind of the missing piece for me on paid advertising. So I was like, well, I'm going to teach back what I learned and show them that it works and demonstrate that it works and basically become a testimonial. And then layer that with all of my experience with March. And then the first ever TikTok I got like 800 views. And I was like, that's so many views, because YouTubes were getting 7. Right. The next one I posted got 9. My second ever TikTok got 9,000 views. The next one was like 6,000. And I was like, I did 26,000 views in my first week. And I think I may have even made my first sale in the first challenge or whatever that first week. And I was like, all right, well, I'm on to something. This is my new thing. I'm a TikToker now. And then it kind of became fun because nobody cared, because there was no like best practice. There was no like, this is what you should do, and if you don't do this, you're going to fail. So I really loved how everyone was just kind of figuring it out back then, and literally anything flew.
Yeah. And I think there was a lot of freedom in it as well, because it was this new app. And as a marketer, you knew you were on the scene before your friends and family. So there was no pressure of like, I'm going to look stupid in front of my friends and family like people get with Facebook. And I think what happened is because of that, there was a certain anonymity with the new app. Then, marketers, especially those who weren't maybe comfortable yet talking about the make money online space or whatever, they did the things that they needed to do to make it work because they weren't worried about what people would think about them. At least that's how it was for me. Did you see a lot of that as well?
Yeah, I did a lot of that. When you first downloaded TikTok, it's like, oh, do you want to sync your Facebook friends and find your friends? Nope. Sync your contacts. Nope. Still, I don't at all. I'm like, you know what? That is my thing. It's separate. I am not going to sell friends and family. I don't want them to see. Nobody knew I had a TikTok account until someone came and was like, you have 50,000 followers. And I was like, yeah. How long? I'm like, yeah, I've been on there for like a year and a half. It literally took a year and a half for anyone that I knew, like in real life, to know what I was doing, because I kept everything off of Facebook. The only time my marketing and what I'm doing in business came on Facebook was when Reels came. And they were handing out gobs of traffic like 2020 TikTok. I was like, I guess the cat's going to be out of the bag now because the traffic's there. I'm going to go after it. So that's really the only time that people realized what I was doing.
That's the same thing I had with me. I was never a big Facebook poster, not because people didn't know what I was doing. I've been doing this for a long time, and they get friends and family eventually will start wondering where the money's coming from. So I got to tell them I'm not selling drugs. Here's what I'm actually doing.
Selling drugs.
But when Reels came out, I was like, well, I can't miss this opportunity. So that's when I really started going heavy on Facebook as well. Early days of TikTok were fun. So let's get to the second part of the question. Obviously, TikTok's still valuable. I know I went through the phase where it's like, oh, this sucks. I'm not getting 10,000 views a video anymore. And I lighten the load on my TikTok posting. But then nowadays I'm back into regular posting on TikTok. So where has the evolution gone? What's TikTok like for you now? Where's the opportunity? Do you have any insight into that or opinions? We don't need hard facts here. Just what do you think?
So what I think TikTok right now is still valuable, but TikTok favors newer creators for sure. All right. I think TikTok understands that newer creators are going to jump through more hoops for no money. Just for exposure and vanity metrics. I mean, for me, I can post a TikTok now and get 3,000 views on a video, as long as you put something where someone can click a link and give TikTok money. They kind of put their thumb on the algorithm scale for, so to speak. So I'm like, I need views. All right, let me just go post a TikTok and I'll get 3,000 views and I'll feel better. It's like that instant little dopamine hit. And I'm like, traffic will come. But it's a lot of a testing ground. Because again, because if something's not good on TikTok, it'll get 200 views and stop.
Uh-huh.
So it's like, okay, fine. And whatever works there, then I'll start trying to go into YouTube, because for me, my newer offer that I've been going at is targeting a more established marketer, a more established business owner. And there's not as many of them on TikTok. The general TikTok audience is more beginner focused. They're more, what is making money? How do I make money? Versus I'm making money. I need a better solution for my business and systems. So I'm going to be making a pivot in probably the next 3 months over to long form YouTube. But now I've cut my teeth on short form video. So that was a huge stepping stone to be able to do long form video, was getting that short form, building that little muscle. And then, okay, now I'm just going to make like 10 of these things in a row and cut them together. And that's how you make a 10-minute YouTube video.
That's something. I mean, you're right. I mean, newer creators for sure they get more exposure than older creators, especially if you have an older account on TikTok. So it's like it's kind of hard to go viral again when you already went viral and your account was exploding, right?
Yeah.
So going back to like the thing that you said earlier about pro courses, right? Like, why were you like against courses in the beginning? Was it like a bad experience? Aside from the money problem, right? Because we were there, right?
Yeah.
And then how do you shift that into like, okay, courses are cool now?
Okay, so this story starts back 2017. So I bought my first high ticket course. It was an ad, right? It was a YouTube ad. Guru, big house, big car. Join this free webinar. I'll show you. All will be revealed. I'll tear back the curtain, right? Okay, cool. I hop on the webinar that was live, but I'm like, well, why is it dark? But he said, oh, I'm in Hawaii, different time zones. Okay, fine. It's live. And I'm like typing questions. Why are they not answering my questions? Oh, sorry, guys. There's a lot of questions. We can't get to them. I didn't realize at the time that I was on an evergreen webinar. It wasn't actually live. So I was like, oh, yeah, at the end of the course. And I got the pitch. Oh, here's our Pro Academy. It's $99. So I was like, yeah, I kind of like what I heard. I'll buy $99. So I went in. And for $99, I literally just learned how to like set up hosting and set up an email and set up something. And I was like, all right, I got to the end and I was like, now what? And the last day of this pro, which was actually a 5-day challenge, right? It was $99. Basically, it was a 5-day challenge. I did it my own. Get online with your business coach and they'll look over your work, make sure that you're right. And it was a sales call. All right. They're like, oh, hey, now you got your stuff set up. You completed pro. Join our elite for $15,000. I was like, I don't have $15,000. Like, well, you could split it up over multiple credit cards. I was like, no. Like, I'm not doing this. Oh, we've got this scale bundle, which we can, it unlocks more of the stuff. It's only $2,000. Excellent downsell. So I was like, oh, you know what? I got this budding rental car business. I can't put 15, but $2,000 on the side. Okay, cool. And I went through the $2,000 course and I was a stone beginner. This was like teaching 400 level college classes of marketing. I went through it again now. It's actually a really, really good course. But as a beginner, I was like, I don't know what any of this stuff is. And at the end, there was another pitch for the $15,000. And I was like, all right, I'm just going through a funnel here. Like, this is all courses. They just want to get my money and but going back in a different frame of mind, I'm like, yeah, there's actually some really, really good stuff in that first course. So that kind of stung me on courses. I'm like, I'm going to figure this out. Everything's for free on YouTube. That's kind of how I found Spencer's YouTube channel and Buildapreneur. I binged that, but again, it was not quite there. Again, I was getting like a little bit of success, couldn't get over the hump. TikTok comes, I'm getting some traffic. I sitting there on day 5 with the advisor. I'm like, oh, here we go again. Here's the $10,000, $15,000 pitch. Like, I've seen this before. This ain't my first rodeo. So I said, no, I'm good. Day 6 comes, and I recognize every single person in the testimonial video on day 6. And I'm like, we all started at the same time, right? And I'm not having success, and everybody else on day 6 is having success. And they all took the blueprints. So I was like, oh, I guess what's my thing? Like that. It was a really good. I was like, all right, let's just go in here. And I called my advisor back, and I was like, all right, what's in this course? What am I going to learn? What's the advertised result? I need to know the curriculum because the testimonials sold me. I'm sitting here and I'm like, I can keep doing what I'm doing and still not have success, or I can do what they did and maybe have a shot at getting the result that they got. So I invested, I went there, and it was the course itself was kind of basic. I knew most of it just from me being in 3-4 years and a decade in sales. But what I really got was the decade in a day live workshop. Mm-hmm. That was, there was a lot of higher level stuff that I had been missing that was in that. Like the average person that went through it was like head spinning, but I was like, that's it. I got it. That's the missing piece. I went off and I made my first sale on ClickBank within 24 hours of getting that. And I was like, all right, now I know how to market. So that's when I became pro course, but I became pro high ticket if you're ready. Because I had taken a high ticket course not being ready and like, oh, this is a freaking scam. And then I came in high ticket course ready for it, knowing what I wanted to get out of it. And it gave me all the missing pieces I needed.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That was my shift.
Yeah, it's like not everyone who, you're talking about those testimonials. Not everyone who invests in a high ticket course is going to have success, but everyone who has success invested in themselves at some point. That's the flip.
Yes.
Yeah. You talked about how you went through that and you knew what you were looking for the second time. So it was valuable. And I think that's kind of how you need to view something like a high ticket course. So let me frame this around another mid to high ticket program. We'll talk about ClickFunnels Funnel Hacking Live, right? It's $1,000 to get in the door. It's $600 for your hotel. It's $500 for your flight, meals. I mean, that's a $3,500 week. You know what I mean? So that's, a significant amount of money. I go into Funnel Hacking Live looking for not everything from every speaker, but I go into Funnel Hacking Live looking for one or two golden nuggets that's going to completely flip my next year. And that's what you saw with the course. Some of it you knew, some of it wasn't relevant, but it was like that one thing was worth the $2,500 for you, right?
100%. I think, and there was two things. There was one, they were talking about retargeting an ad strategy, and I think it was copy and scale or something. But then I remember asking a question, going, how do you know that you know the material? And the answer that I got was, well, you never really do. You just kind of test things. Even at this level, I just test things. And if they work, great. If they don't, I try something else. And that was like permission for me to just, all right, I'm just going to throw shit against the wall, see what happens. And whatever people react to, like I at that point, it kicked a lot of imposter for me because I'm like, I have a decade of sales. Like, why am I not? But then it was I didn't have the big car. I didn't have this. I'm like, but I had the knowledge. I knew as much as everybody else. But going with you with Funnel Hacking Live, coming back to that, are you a Russell podcast kind of junkie? Do you go back and binge his stuff? Because I know I do. Every time there's a Marketing Secrets podcast comes out, I'll listen to it. And he had been talking about what Funnel Hacking Live was all year. Right. So coming in there, I was like, I know the speakers, I know this, I want to miss this call, this one here. And then that was like you're saying, going into it, knowing exactly what you want to get out of it.
Yeah. Which is, and that's it. In the beginning, you don't know what you don't know. So you need to start with the basics. You need to start going through that. But then eventually it gets to the point where it's like, okay, here's where I know I'm missing something. Like I went to Funnel Hacking Live, although I'm not a big Russell Brunson podcast junkie. I've obviously read all his books and, I trust what he tells me and it usually is applicable and works. But it's like, I went in there knowing like, okay, if we talk about his linchpin framework, I know I'm missing one piece. And what piece is that? So that's what I went into Funnel Hacking Live with. It's like, what am I missing? Yep. And guess what? I found my answer. And even though it was only one presentation out of the whole 4 days, I mean, that one presentation was totally worth my $3,500 because now I know where to go next. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. And that's, you're going to see a lot. I think the experience coming of recognizing that was the missing piece.
So now that we're talking about Funnel Hacking Live, you also have gone to a different event, right? The Go High Level event.
Level Up.
Level Up. There you go. So what are the difference of these two big marketing events that you can tell us about?
Oh man, completely different atmosphere, completely different vibe. High Level right now, I think because they're smaller, this Level Up, this was only the second one. So I imagine this is probably what Funnel Hacking Live was similar to like back in the day. They were in one small ballroom. And so it was much more intimate. You're definitely seeing more people. You were in closer proximity because now Funnel Hacking Live has gotten so big. So you're just like in there. But right now, the crowd at Level Up was way more like marketing nerds. They were agency owners. They were established people who were kind of on the cutting edge there. The aspirational crowd was not there really at High Level the way that it is sometimes at Funnel Hacking Live. So the crowd was a little bit different, but again, like when ClickFunnels started back in 2014, 2015, Funnel Hacking Live 2 was probably just a bunch of marketing nerds getting together at a software conference. It probably hadn't evolved into what it is today. So I think Level Up will probably get there. But the difference is though, too, is High Level, they kept you captive for longer. They had because like I know I was in Brian, you lived just right outside Dallas. We were going to try to hook up, but like I'm looking at the schedule and they're just like, oh yeah, it's like to 10 o'clock every night,
right?
Like official event. And I'm like, I don't want to miss it. Like it's there. And then I was like, I don't know if he wants to come out and podcast at midnight.
Right. I did not.
Yeah. Well, and also High Level did open bar.
Yeah. Oh,
wow. So that was VIP included open bar. So I was like, I don't know. I have a couple of drinks. That'll be an interesting podcast. But
that might have been a fun show. Maybe we missed an opportunity, but that's
yeah. They party at High Level.
Yeah.
That is one thing for sure. Is that's probably one of the bigger differences between the events, different amount of crowd, but also it's the founders. I mean, you've got one who is very straight edge Mormon. You've got another one who's software developer from Southern California.
Right. Talking about ClickFunnels.
Two totally different bots. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Well, but
definitely cooler event.
Like, you sound like you had a good time at the event. You know, I was following your feeds and stuff like that, and it is cool. I mean, you know, not one's probably not better than the other, but you have to understand what the differences are so you have the right expectations. Yes. And that sounds really cool. You know, that the high level event is going to be the first movers, right? It's the marketing nerds, as you said, in the best way possible. You know, ClickFunnels has attracted the aspirational now. It's like, oh, I don't know what this funnel thing is yet, but I guess I need it to make money and I want to do it. So it's two totally different crowds. And I think that's the point is both are good if you understand what you're going to get out of them. So let's go back to content a little bit because you've become a master. You've mastered your craft. So much so that I think
I don't know if I would go that far.
Well, you're working on it, as we all are, right? We're all working on it. We're all actively trying to get better every single day. But that has led to a number of opportunities, right? You've created the fan base or the following, which gives you the freedom to kind of move around a little bit. So let's talk about some of the things that you've launched through your content. You know, we know we had the affiliate marketing stuff, but then you partnered with a past guest, Adrian Brambilla, and the Brambilla method. And since then, you know, after winning the 2 Comma Club with that, you've gone on to launch your own stuff, which I think some of it has done pretty well, as a matter of fact. So what's your thought process around finding the next thing to launch, and how does that all look for you when it comes to launching your own products?
Yeah. So for me, when I go to launch a new product, I always start with the customer journey in mind. So, and I know a lot of people might look at it as, oh, he's launching a bunch of stuff. It might be confusing to the audience, but I look at my overall end goal. What's the end goal of somebody that I want to produce when they come through my world? So for me, the end result, someone who at some point, if they go through all of my free stuff to all the way, I want to one day have a $10,000 a head mastermind. I'm going to speak that out into the universe. But when we get through there, at the end of that, I want somebody who is a content creator with their own business that's systemized with their own offer, doing 7 figures a year, right? That is the end result. Now, what are the steps that have to happen between them? Well, to get there, to take it one step back, they have to have their own offer, because it's very hard to be a 7-figure affiliate because of the nature of just affiliate marketing. You don't have the control. Offers can change. They can cut your commissions. I know a lot of the software companies right now are like, they're cutting commissions down and they're actually cutting affiliates off completely who've built up things. And so having your own offer is one. Okay, cool. How do you sell your own offer reliably to get to 7 figures? It's got to be through multiple channels. It's got to be reliably. Okay, cool. You need systems. All right. Software. That's going to be an offer that's going to be there that I have there, right? People need software, but software is very overwhelming. All right. Somebody who needs to make money right now, if you're trying to build a business on software and build an offer, it takes time, it takes resources. If someone might not have those resources. So how do they start to make money to take that pressure off initially? That was Amazon Influencer. You got a smartphone, you can create social media content, you can make money. There's no investment, there's no systems, there's whatever. And you can make a couple $1,000s a month doing it. So bottom of the value ladder for me is like, just start doing this, get that money going. Now the pressure's off. If you do it, you can pay some of your bills with it. You're like, you're not redlining, trying to make decisions anymore. You're coming not so much from a place of abundance, but more of a place of it's a peace of mind. It's a clear head to make those long decisions of, I don't have to make money today. I can spend the time, craft a content strategy, put the time in, learn a system, learn a proper email follow-up system, put a proper offer together. I can absorb the courses versus how fast can I get through this course so I can turn around, promote it, and make some money. It puts having that first step is and that's what we launched actually a year ago, last year. It was Black Friday of 2022. And that's been the first step really. And this year we're going to start to continue that journey of products. We kind of layered the software in probably halfway through 2022. It got messy because there was some violence of action and testing, but that's every time I create a product, I think about how does it fit into that customer journey? That customer journey is make money, take the pressure off. Then learn proper marketing, learn proper systems, build it on a proper platform that can grow with you for a long time. Then from that, it's build a list, build an offer, and then scale it.
Right.
From there.
So the Amazon influencer program, I think it's called Anonymous Influencer. That's basically to get people out of the survival mode so they can then focus on a long-term strategy.
Exactly. It is not, I mean, anyone who's been doing it for any time, you're not in control. Amazon just all of a sudden will just pull places or pull placements and cut your commissions in half, which is no way to live. But if you use that as a feeder to build something that you do control, you'll be better off long-term.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, because if you're buying a course, you're learning their systems, then you have to spend more money on their softwares and maybe the upsells that they have. But in the beginning, you might just wanted to buy that course. You get me, just to learn how to make money, but then you have to spend so much more money. So this way, you're buying your course, but you're teaching people about the Amazon influencer program, right? So they can get some income first before they start learning more marketing stuff. But before we get into that topic of the Amazon influencer, how did you and Brambilla get to partner up? Like, how did that connection happen?
So he slid into my DMs one day. So we were, no, I have a screenshot of the DM. It's spectacular. So we had both started TikTok. I think he started TikTok of 2019. Right. I started March 2020, and he was doing affiliate marketing, and I was doing affiliate marketing content. And I was doing like very like cerebral, like college textbook. Here's how a landing page is broken down content. And he was in a pool. This is back when he was doing his stuff from the pool. He didn't have the van yet. And we just ended up following each other randomly one day. I think I broke down his webinar page. I was like, here's this headline I'm saying like, he's attracting this person doing this. This is here. This is how he builds urgency. And then he duets me going, this guy's telling all my secrets. And like, he followed me. So then we just kind of commented back and forth. And then it was like January 2021, a DM from Adrian. He goes, hey, I have an idea. Call me. And his phone number. And this is before like all the crypto scammers and stuff were there. So I looked up, like, it was actually his account. It was friends. Like, what's up, Adrian? Is this really you? Oh yeah, it's me. And he was in the van, and he said, hey, I want to launch this thing. I got a lot of people. Actually, what was happening was, what caused the Brambilla method was a lot of people were taking his clips, stealing them, reposting them, or duetting them and running traffic somewhere else. And he's like, well, I might as well just have my own program. But he does mostly physical products. He's like, I have a couple courses that were like kind of basic. He's like, but you have how the courses will work. So I went really deep into info products and the customer journey and through lines of courses and things like that. And he's like, I want you to help me manage the affiliates, but two, also put together the curriculum so that it flows and we can get people results and we can get people through there. So I said, yeah, I'm in. And we ended up partnering up. And I did not know about the campaign until he posted it. It was completely caught me by surprise. My phone just started blowing up and goes, what did Adrian just post? I was like, what did Adrian post? And I go to his feed and I was like, oh, I guess, yeah, well, I'm in this now. That was a surprise to me. And I was like, good business partner. I'm just going to ride or die with this one.
It was a great campaign. And we talked about it when he was on the show. And obviously we've become friends and have each other's phone numbers and all that stuff. But that's kind of the same response I had. Is like, well, I guess I'm in this now. So it was a lot of fun, but so it was a great campaign, great marketing. But then you guys did not think about that. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I want to hear what you're going to say about and then we'll talk about the results.
Oh, I was going to say, so I don't remember. Did the campaign? I think that happened before. Oh yeah, it happened before we took the beta group.
Yeah, it was before you guys launched.
That was just before to grab attention, to get the whole room, the record to scratch, and everyone to look right at us.
Everybody was freaking out when the campaign came out. I was like, what? It was crazy. And I was hearing both sides of the story. You guys side and then Dave's side when he was doing the Wake Up Legendary. So it was just funny.
Dude, I had no idea. And that actually exposed me to like, yeah, this works. So if you just go against the grain, that's kind of where my whole anti-stance and splitting the noise, because I was very vanilla going up to that. Like it was, I had my little following. I was okay right there. But really, once we're like, you need to go against the popular, and you're going to pick the people off who are frustrated with whatever the popular thing is. And now they're going to be like your ride or dies now.
Right.
And that kind of, it was an interesting time.
Go ahead, Andre.
Is that how the Misfits came to be?
No.
It was after.
Came about a year. Yeah. The Misfits were all Brambilla Method affiliates, but there was another program that was making the rounds in early 2022 that we all were like, why the F are people following for this? And then we all just kind of formed a group chat. So yeah.
Yes. So that is the transition. Then, you get to the point where you team up with Brambilla, you see a very successful, death of legendary marketer, which is the biggest thing on TikTok at the time. It works. It brings all the eyeballs to you. You take that to 2 Comma Club, which is over $1 million in sales. And you're like, oh, Polarity, this stuff works pretty well. And then since then, I mean, you've really become, I don't want to say the poster child for Polarity, but I think you self-admittedly, you've said, it's a game and you use it to your advantage. So what's your strategy? Like, what do you look for? What do you decide that you're going to be controversial about? Like, what's your framework for creating content that polarizes an audience?
Okay. So there's a couple things when I look at a market. So again, I don't, when we put Death of Legendary, we didn't actually expect that we were going to put Legendary out of business. That was
right.
It's just a show. It's to catch attention. It's to get people talking. But when I go into Polarity, so there's a couple of ground rules that I'll never do, right? I'll never attack a creator personally for a program. I'll never go after someone's looks or anything like that. That's not Polarity at all. That's just being online bullying. So that's out of the way. So what I'll also do though, too, is if there's a massive hole in their business model, and that's so first something has to get really, really popular for this to work. But if there's a massive hole, or there's something that everyone's thinking but nobody's saying, if you can just be the person to say the thing that everyone's thinking, and it's gonna take some stones to do, because you're gonna get hate, because there's gonna be people who are having success with that popular program that would come after you, because they're gonna feel like you're coming after their paycheck. All eyes are gonna be on you, and then there's everybody who's thinking the same thing. If you say it, they're like, oh, that's my guy. And they'll just, because you had the courage to stand up and say it and raise your hand and go, yeah, this I think is a hole in that popular program's model, or that popular, not even program, but even that popular opinion. If there's a hole in that, you can stand up and say, hey, look, this is wrong. I disagree. You'll start to draw people with you who also agree, who also disagree with that other thing.
Right.
Because even though, we get on TikTok, or we get on social media, and we're in our own little bubble, and it looks like it's a unanimous, almost groupthink, but there's a lot of people, man. If there's 100,000 people who agree and will promote something, there's probably 40 or 50,000 people who disagree with that thing. So you're not going after the people who are promoting, you're going after the 50,000 people who disagree, and you show them a new opportunity. And that's kind of how the Polarity works. And the thing that worked so well with Brambilla method was that when we did that, everybody started talking about us negatively, but there were people in those people's audiences, because there were some really big creators who turned around and started talking negatively about us. And there were people in their audience who were like, who are these guys? Right. And so they would go check us out.
Yeah.
And that person who never would have heard of us otherwise, the hater getting so loud on such a big platform, drew traffic to us. And then turned out some of them agreed with us. So they ended up becoming customers. So our haters actually brought us customers.
Right.
You got more exposure that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everything
go ahead.
has, like pros and cons, right? So when you inject Polarity in your marketing, and when we talk about Polarity, I always think about Dan Henry, when he was launching like Get clients and stuff like that. Like he used Polarity, and he mastered it, right? You know what I mean? And it worked very well for him. He did, he's done 30, 40, 50, $60 million or something like that. So the benefits obviously is like you said, you go against the grain, you find maybe the people who are maybe not as outspoken but disagree with the popular thing, they come over, check you out, and if they agree with you, they become your ride or dies. They're like, oh, here's somebody who's saying something different. Sometimes it's better to be different than anything else, different than good, different than the top, so that's really powerful. You mentioned the downside. Obviously people are going to bring hate your way, so you got to have a thick skin. Are there any can you identify any other downsides of being somewhat like controversial or against the grain, other than just having to have a thick skin?
Downsides of being Polarity. I mean, again, you have to have a thick skin. You're going to get some nasty DMs. You're going to get stitches if you're on TikTok that are like, this guy has no clue what he's talking about. For me, the one things that I do to help deal with the negative stitches when they come is I watch them on mute and read the captions. Because it's one thing to read something bad about you, but actually hear someone's voice and they're like, you really angered somebody. And I'm like, Like, I know I'm doing it for a show and I know I'm doing it to get a reaction. I don't actually hate the other person, but I've gotten somebody so fired up, which what you're supposed to do in marketing. You're supposed to evoke emotion in marketing. And I'm like, oh, I did my job. But like, I sometimes I feel bad because I'm like, this person really legitimately hates me over something that I really didn't actually mean, but like something that I convicted, like it wasn't personal. Someone hates me personally because of something I said I didn't mean personally. And that sometimes hurts.
Yeah.
But it comes with the territory. You're not going to make everybody happy.
Yeah.
So you might as well make some people really happy and really upset. You might as well, like, because this doesn't make a whole lot of money, but this makes a lot. If you can split the crowd.
I mean, you're eliminating the people that you don't want in your system too, by making sure you're doing that type of content. And then the people that buy into you, they're 100% with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, even notice that if you guys have been watching my recent Facebook stuff, I basically said, we're going to be ripping up an anonymous influencer at the end of this month and doing something new. There were people who were like, how much is the beta I want in? Like, they don't even know what I'm doing. They're just ready to hand over money. So that basically that'll create a very, very loyal fan base as long as you deliver. That's the other thing I want to tell people too. Like the big caveat with Polarity and going against the grain. One, you better come correct. You better have all your ducks in a row. You better know your stuff. And then two, you better deliver on thing that you're saying is better than the popular thing. So you can't go into this, half-assed.
Yeah.
Right. You have to be ready. You got to be ready for the challenge if you're going to do it. If you're a brand new content creator, you probably better just hold off a little bit on using this as a weapon. Yeah. Is that fair?
100%. 100%. This is if you are. Yeah, exactly.
So now that you mentioned, this new Amazon program, want to give us some sneak peeks, to get people excited?
I just show up on Black Friday. We say it's our first birthday and we got everybody a gift. Literally, we're not telling anybody. I mean, it's going to still talk Amazon influencer. Like that's still going to be the core.
Yeah.
But anonymous influencer has become a bit of a misnomer over the past year because you cannot do it anonymously anymore. Back when we started doing it, like you could have a faceless account. You could not show your face. So we made it anonymous. So it was like kind of like a hook, and influencer itself is generally like, look at me. So we're like, let's make that oxymoron of a name to kind of be like, what the heck are they talking about? But it's become a misnomer. So
because in the beginning it worked, right? You could literally turn the camera around and film something in your garage and just talk about it and not be on camera. That would work. Yeah. But now it's evolved, obviously, and you have to change with the times as well. So that's cool. So you're launching this with the Misfits, is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, the digital marketing Misfits.
Okay, so for those who don't know, you have this group of some of them were former Legendary Marketer affiliates. A lot of them were former Brambilla Method affiliates, kind of how you all met. I know some of them, if not most of them, probably all of them now, but I've known some of them before you even formed this group. So you have this group of marketers that come together and you work on projects together. I'm curious because I've never launched a project for profit with anybody. I've launched this podcast with Andre, but we've gone into this with it'll make money someday, but in the meantime, let's build our connections, share value with the audience and stuff like that. What does that look like for y'all? What sort of tips and advice and strategies do you use to launch a product with, is it 4 or 5 or 6 people launching this together?
There's 5 of us.
5. So how does that work?
Yeah.
So one thing, so you talk about building the connection first, right? Mm-hmm. Our connection, we had built a connection long before this. So we all kind of came together in a group chat. I think it was like February of 2022, right? And we were just talking about TikTok and what was going on in the marketplace and what was going on with Brambilla and whatever, right? And we had kind of formed this like off the clock connection, almost a friendship over here. And then all of a sudden, Jamar came in hot and he's like, guys, I got like the easiest payday in the world. We're like, keep going. Like, go on. Okay. He's like, it takes 15 minutes a day. I'm like, all right, go on. And he's like, I'm doing these product reviews. And we're like, okay, go on. He's like, oh, well, so we all just kind of like informally just kind of started doing this. And then we all started making money with it. And we're like, well, we should probably launch a course. But then it was like, whose course do we launch? Do we launch 5 competing courses? Because we all did this together. Right. And we're like, because then we're all going to just cannibalize each other. And all right, cool. But then we're like, well, why don't we all just partner up? 5, was it 1 + 1 = 3 if you have the right partners together, because we all have different areas of expertise. Mm-hmm. So we're like, all right, let's just go a 5 on a course. We'll just split it all the same way. And I had heard about Russell Brunson calls them rainmaker projects. He's like, basically you take a bunch of marketers who are kind of at the same spot together. They're all kind of at the same level. Like you come together, You do a course, everyone splits the leads, everyone splits the money, and it's supposed to be a one project deal. You go in because everyone's going to grow together because you all combine forces, combine lists, you work together on a project, then you all go back to your own separate businesses. And that's what Anonymous Influencer was supposed to be. So it was supposed to be a Rainmaker project, a one-off. And then we start talking about it. And I mean, we were getting thousands of leads and everybody was talking. Everybody wanted to get in. And we had some big names join our beta. And we're like, guys, this might actually be bigger than like a one-off little project. This might be a start of a real brand, a real business. And that's when we decided to formalize it. And like, all right, we're just gonna be a partnership. Everyone's equal partners. Like, we'll just work with this. And then we launched, and it did $140,000 on launch weekend. And we were like, all right, we're like actually this is a real thing. So that was, and then in that year, we've all kind of found our areas of genius. So we try not to step on each other's toes. It's if you have 5 partners that do the same thing, like it's going to be really, really hard, and you're just going to cannibalize each other.
Yeah.
Like I just suck at administering a Facebook community. I'm not good as a community running person, but that's why we got Scotty. Scotty loves talking to people in the Facebook group and being in the comments and being one-on-one, boots on the ground. I'm more of, we'll do the offer, I'll do the long form video, I'll do the webinar, I'll be the dancing monkey on stage, as Russell calls it. That's kind of my position here on the team. And then we've got, again, Reagan does a lot of automation stuff on social and lead gen and things. So we've all kind of found our areas, our positions on the team, basically.
Yeah, your strengths, you guys don't step over each other, and that's what it makes it work, right? Mm-hmm. Same with this podcast, Brian's good at some stuff, I'm good at some stuff, and then it just makes it work. That's the great partnership that you have right there and then you guys all split the same, all the wins, everything is split equally with everybody.
Yeah, because we were like, we all started this when it was nothing. Like, there's nobody who did more work than other to justify a proportionally bigger or smaller share. We'll just whack everything up 5 ways and
then this is a course, right? Like inside the course, everybody is teaching different sections of the course, or it's just like different type of partnership like that?
So yes and no. So there is, and this is, if you're creating courses with multiple people, it's hard to do multiple faces throughout a course, because when you're creating a program, you want to have a through line, you want to have a storyline, and it was really hard to do. Like, we got it right with the Anonymous Influencer course, where everyone kind of built on itself, but we launched other products throughout the year where we all were like, oh, here's the lesson list. You take 5, you do this, and go ahead. And it didn't flow quite as well. And for me, I was like, I could just do them all, but I'm like, I don't want to be like the ball hog on the team, right? Or like have anyone else to be like, I want to put 50 videos on your shoulder, even though I might be the most comfortable on video. So you might have maybe 2, maybe 3 voices in a course going forward. The 5 is really hard to get right.
Yeah. One thing,
just make sure that, go ahead.
You talk about that through line, and I think that's super important to talk about, because I went through a course that was put out is actually the most recent course I went through, was put out by 2 people. And the way they divided it up is one person was the strategist, the emotional leader, so to speak, and the other person was the tech heavy side. And then so it's like, if you were in a theory or strict content strategy, section of the course, it was like you're going to get one voice. And if you were in a funnel setup or a automation setup or an automation trigger section of the course, it would be the other voice. And then that helped keep everything very segmented and on track in the mind of the person who's going through the course. Like, okay, this must be tech stuff because he's talking. This must be brand building stuff because she's talking. And that worked really well for them. But that's exactly what you're talking, like a through line, a storyline, a congruency almost, if you will.
Yep. There's, and typically with any course or learning anything, there's the how to do it, or what you should be doing, how to do it, and then accountability that you should do it. Mm-hmm. And if you guys remember the original One Funnel Away, that was the same thing. There were the 3 voices. It was the Russell was the how, the Julie was Russell was the what, Julie was the how, and Stephen was the, I'm going to hold your feet to the fire and make sure you do it. And that's how they ran that with 3 voices. So yeah, that's a very popular formula, and it works.
Yeah. That's super interesting. I went on your Facebook as well, and then you recently got an award with Go High Level as well, right? And then you said that it was more powerful than the 2 Comma Club Award. What, or something like that? What did you mean by that?
Okay, so the award we won over at Level Up was a SaaSpreneur Award, which they give out when you get 100 people on your high level SaaS white label. Okay.
And for people that don't know what SaaS is, do you mind sharing what it is?
Software as a service. So High Level offers a bunch of software tools. If you can use them all, you can use one of them, but they let you put your name on top of it and then build systems and layer your own personality on top of their white label suite. We got it for 100. You get it when you're at 100. We're at 218. I think I had a couple fall off yesterday, but we're low 200s. And that for me was a lot harder than the 2 Comma Club because it was multi-dimensional. So 2 Comma Club being mostly one-dimensional, a couple good promotions, enough traffic, you can generate $1 million in top line revenue, right? But the SaaSpreneur is you have to maintain the people and you have to get people to stick and you have to retain them. And to retain them, so the first sale is getting them to on the software, but the second and much harder sale is getting them to stick. Mm-hmm. So someone comes in, and especially in the space that we're in with content creators, the competitor is Stan, where you can get up and running in 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. So now it becomes, how do I get someone to, and it's like $20 a month, right? How do I get someone to pay $100 a month and then use something that's 3 times as hard to set up and also stick and do it for multiple months? So there's a lot more layers of problems. So there's basically you are your own tech support because you're not an affiliate, right? If you're sending someone over to a ClickFunnels or a Kartra, they've got millions of dollars for tech support teams and customer support teams and ticketing systems, and you have to create all of that yourself. So you've got that. And then there's also because we're still running really lean, you have to systemize a lot of videos and a lot of onboarding. Mm-hmm. And in most of the high level world, the agency owners, they will onboard their clients themselves. Like they'll just go in, tell them a form, and they basically set the account up for people. And they might have 50 to 75 clients. We're going to do this for 200 people. We want to put 1,000 people on this. That's not going to scale doing a lot of manual work. So you have to create systems and automations to be able to do things at scale and get people to self-onboard themselves, which was hard. There's multiple iterations there to get that right. And then I basically was like, oh, higher level marketer, here's everything you need. And I overwhelmed people and people wouldn't stick. So I started paring back what we give them and making it just do this, this, and this. And if they can do those 3 things, they'll stick. Okay, cool. Now let's do that 100 times. And then it comes to the point where ongoing, how do I get them to stick, keep going on? And that's where you start learning into customer success. You start learning into accountability. So it's a much more complete business that you have to build to get the SaaSpreneur versus a 2 Comma Club.
Yeah. And I think that's fair because, if you look at, back to Funnel Hacking Live, if you get the little program at the beginning of the event, and if you look through there and you flip through the number of people who have won the 2 Comma Club award, it's 1,000 or whatever, and they're just name after name after name. And then you go and you look at the people who won the Dream Car Award, which is the affiliate side of it, which I know is not the same as Go High Level, but it's the same.
It's similar though.
Getting people to stick, getting people to not only sign up but keep their account active, and having that many active users. That list is like 40 people. You know what I mean? It's so much smaller. So I agree with you 100%. What you did.
The Dream Car is harder than 2 Comma Club.
100%. Absolutely. 100%. So that's really interesting. So am I understanding that right? Is that kind of how High Level works? I don't want to go too deep into it, but just for my own selfish question, you basically build, quote unquote, your own software on the back of their functionality. Is that kind of what it is? And then you charge your customers whatever you want, or am I missing something?
Yeah.
There?
Yeah. So we'll keep this at a high level. See what I did there?
Yeah.
dad joke aside. So basically High Level gives you the back-end coding software, the foundation, right? And then you are like, who is my ideal client who's going to be using this? Now, there's a lot of people that go, they're plumbers or they're real estate agents or there's expert coaches or there's content creators, right? You have your ideal client in mind and you go, what is the one best way that I found through my experience and my testing that's going to get this person a result? And you basically will build pre-built automations, pre-built funnel templates, pre-built website templates, and you'll put your own flavor. You'll add your own education onto there, and you'll kind of put your flavor and your brand on top of basically the same tools that everybody else has. So it becomes yours, and then people pay you. They're your retail customer. You essentially become like a ClickFunnels without having to code millions of lines of code like ClickFunnels.
Wow, really? That's super interesting. And then you can charge them whatever you want, or
whatever you want. I met somebody at Level Up that charges $750 a month for essentially what ClickFunnels charges $100 for.
So if let's say you have a program and you want to teach people this, how to make funnels, how to make an autoresponder and all of that stuff, you can literally flip the High Level and teach them utilizing their software and charge them, I don't know, $50.
Yeah. Well, the terms of service, it has to be 97 is the lowest. So you can't charge 50, but you can charge 97. But yeah, so if you teach somebody funnels, right, and you have a signature funnel style that you teach, what you can do is you can preload everybody who buys your program. It comes preloaded with the signature funnel that you teach. And then when you go through the program, like, oh, go into your funnel account, wherever your brand name is, right? Go into your account. And then this is what I've done. This is how you add your brand on top of the framework that I've already installed for you. And then that becomes there. And then you as the funnel company, someone has a problem, customer service, you can just pull up their account and make a change in like 3 seconds. Or someone coaching comes to you and goes, hey, I'm running into this issue. You can pull up their account from the back end, and then you can just build things in their account versus giving them notes and having them have to go and implement in their own system with a separate login that you don't have access to.
Right.
So it makes it, especially if you're teaching something, a similar framework, it keeps everyone uniform.
So you just become you literally become the customer service of it, and you get all the benefits of that as well. I mean, there's negatives to it, but you get all the benefits of that as well.
Yeah. The benefits really outweigh the negatives for sure.
Yeah. 100%. Absolutely. I don't know. I go down a whole nother rabbit hole with that with you, but we want to be respectful of your time. And I think we've already gone over an hour, so we'll kind of bring this to a close a little bit. But what I want to ask you about is your future here, maybe the next year or two. What do you got on the horizon to kind of extend your suite of products, or what's exciting to you right now?
So for us, the horizon right now is going to be really just growing Lead Vortex, which is the high level brand that's there, bringing people into content creators, existing business owners, and getting in there is going to be YouTube. I'm going to go really, really hard on YouTube over the next 12 months. Because that probably is the highest hanging fruit, but also the sweetest fruit out there in terms of traffic is YouTube.
Right.
But yeah, that's what I'm going to do for the next 12 months is probably get people onto Vortex and then also make Amazon more accessible for people to get in so that then hopefully they'll start using my software as they progress in their business.
Really cool. So what does Lead Vortex do? What's your, USP, if you will, or, why would somebody want Lead Vortex over anything else? And I want to hear it kind of from the pitch standpoint, or however you want to explain it.
All right. Yeah. So Lead Vortex is there to help content creators systemize and automate their offers. So we want somebody who our goal is to have somebody with a product that they owned hosted on Lead Vortex. They put a link on their social media on a domain that they own. They create content, attract their audience. Somebody comes through the opt-in page, and then they get tagged run through automated lead nurture, which is going to start delivering and selling that digital product on autopilot. So we want our creators just creating content, and all of the fulfillment and all the follow-up on the back end, they don't have to worry about. And then they've also got communities hosted on Lead Vortex. Basically, want to take them off of take 10 logins and make it one.
Yeah. Really cool. Really cool. That's awesome. That, like I said, that's another one of those things that gets me excited. And I expect a text from you, like how excited are you about this potential? Because I see a lot of opportunity there. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, we didn't even talk newsletters.
Yeah, no, we don't have time. We go into newsletters do you have a newsletter yet? I guess that's one thing I want to ask you. Do you have a newsletter yet, or is that in the works?
There might be one or two out there.
Yeah. Okay.
There might be one or two out there that are starting and going soon. And yeah, it's there.
Is it going to
expect more? That's why I'll also put that in a 12-month plan as well.
Yeah.
Is it going to be like a paid newsletter or just like a, here you go?
Oh, no, it's going to be a free newsletter.
Yeah.
That's going to deliver value on a regular basis. Although you might not know it's me.
Yeah.
When we send it. So yeah,
anonymous newsletter.
There's some other stuff. Yes.
Oh, perfect. Well, we thank you for your time. One thing we like to do here, Dom, on this show is kind of flip the tables a little bit and give you an opportunity, if you wish, to ask a question of Andre and myself. So if that is something you want to do, feel free to take the stage here.
Okay, so I'll ask a question of you guys. So being on the opposite side of the whole polarity thing with the death of Legendary, did you guys understand what I was doing as marketers, or was it kind of like, I imagine the first rubbed the wrong way, but after a while, did you guys realize what we were doing?
Look, so for me,
I'm asking if you took it personally.
Yeah. Look, I started in December of 2020. Can you remind me when that campaign came about?
June of 2021.
June of 2021. So I was 6 months into my business, right? in June, actually, on my business, that's when I blew up with Legendary Marketer. Like
with Instagram, right?
With Instagram, exactly.
Yeah.
So I blew up completely. So honestly, I didn't pay much attention to it because I was so busy with my business. I was so busy just making things that were working, But I did see
That's
like
awesome.
everybody, oh my God, what's happening, But I was just too focused on, I was happy at that point because that's when my business actually blew up. So I was just
Good.
focused on that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's key. So when I saw it, I mean, I was one of the people who was actually stitched in by Adrian Brambila. So like I said, I was kind of brought into it, and I was like, gonna try to avoid it. I usually stay away from the controversy. I kind of run my own race, so to speak. And that's after not running my own race years in the past, and just getting involved in all that stuff. And you evolve as a marketer, but then when I was stitched in, and I became a part of it. I knew exactly what was going on, but that's when I got greedy. I was like, holy shit, here's this guy, Adrian. I think at the time, Adrian had 1.1 million followers on TikTok or something like that.
Yeah, he was like 700,000 or 800,000. It wasn't quite
okay. He was at 7 or 800,000. I was at, maybe 120 or whatever. And so I got greedy. I'm like, holy shit, he's talking about me. I wonder if I can get into his audience, right? So I was like, all right, I'm jumping in on this. I'm attacking him back. And it just didn't work. And I was like, you know what? That's just not me. I really wanted a piece of his audience at that point. And because like you say, everyone who's outspoken about it, there's going to be people behind the scenes who are maybe a little disgruntled with it. You know what I mean? As much as there was people who were upset with Legendary Marketer that Adrian could attract, and you and Adrian could attract, there was also people who just, for whatever reason, fell out of love with Adrian and his style. So that was an opportunity I saw. So yeah, I tried to fight back to try to get a piece of his, 7 or 800,000. And like I said, after about 2 videos, I was just like, this just isn't me. It's not going to work. My heart isn't in it. So I kind of removed myself at that point. But yeah, absolutely. We knew what was going on, but once again, that's only because I've probably seen it 9 different times from 12 different creators. You know what I mean? So I guess the best way to put it is I appreciated the campaign that y'all put together. Even though I was a part of it and I didn't want to be, I definitely appreciated it. And the Texas Rangers just won the World Series. So I'm going to bring that up for probably the next 5 or 6 episodes. But I look at the series we had in the ALCS where we were playing the Houston Astros, and you get Altuve hitting bombs and stuff like that. And in the moment, you just hate Altuve. Like, who is this little 5'5" piece of, oh man, he's just a bitch. You know what I mean? But then you're like, but boy, is he a great player. I really appreciate that. And that's exactly what it was. Like, at the same point, there's the emotional part. He's like, what are these bitches doing? And then it's like, oh, they're doing a great job. You got to give them a round of applause. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I see it. So all I got to say is bravo, well done. And it was really a fun thing to be a part of, even though I couldn't compete.
Yeah, it was fun. Again, to this day, I'm like, we could all go out and get a beer together and just be fun. There's no bad blood. There's no animosity.
No, I mean,
I want people to know.
Yeah, we hang out. Like I said, I have your phone number. I mean, this isn't like I just talked to you on Facebook. I have your phone number. I have Adrian's phone number. We're all cool, and it's just it's. I think it's a mutual respect of marketers, and I think it's really cool. Well, Dom, once again, I appreciate it. Before we sign off here, how can people get into your world? Where's the best place to kind of dip their toe into your world and follow you and find you?
I mean, I guess the most evergreen way to put this is just Google me. Dom Bavaro or Digital Marketing Misfits. We're always going to have something. I mean, we're entrepreneurs, so we're always going to be iterating. Any link that I tell everyone here might be outdated by the time it happens. So just follow Dom Bavaro or Digital Marketing Misfits. We're always going to be doing something, always going to be iterating. And I want to give everyone listening here permission to iterate. Just don't be afraid to just try the next thing, because it might be the next thing that breaks out.
Amazing. Well done. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And then,
thanks for having me, guys.
Yep. And thanks to everyone who listened. And we'll see everybody on the next episode of the Evolved Marketing Podcast.